Okay, we should be good.
Okay. Good evening. This is the December 2nd Planning Board meeting in Irvington. Sarah, do we have all the taxes up to date?
Yes, they are.
We have minutes to approve,
Yes, we have the minutes for November.
November 2020. Anybody at the board have any comments? Dan,
I'm okay with the comments contained within.
George,
Good. I'm good.
and Caesar is good. We have a motion to pass the minutes, please.
Motion. So moved.
Second, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Just an announcement to those listening. Kevin Thurman, our fourth on the planning board for this evening, is having technical difficulties. So if he interrupts and jumps in the middle of one of the presentations, I'm sure you'll recognize that it was not intended. Also, our next meeting is in January 2021. And I'd like to wish everyone, hopefully, a safe holiday period and a happy new year. Now, with that said, by the way, January will be my 1-year anniversary as chairman, so we'll make a big celebration.
Congratulations.
We'll give the order of presentation. 2020-27, 90 Fargo. Number 2, 2020-25, 83 Greenway Drive. Number 3, 2020-24, 34 Lewis. Number 4, 2020-23, 2 South Astor Street. Number 5, 2020-30, 63 Field Terrace. And number 6, 2020-29, 47 Osceola. Okay, number 1, 90 Fargo, 2020-27. Do we have a presenter? Is there a presenter lurking out there in the electronic world?
Yes, there is.
I see Malone. There he is.
Hello, guys.
Good evening, John.
Hi. John Malone representing ETA Fargo, or the Parganos family. Where would you guys like to start? The response letter that we received on the project indicated that the open items were the variance, and there was a single comment asking for us to specify the ivy that we were showing on what we're showing a climbing ivy, which we can do as Suzanne indicates. That's a helpful suggestion that you had on that. Do you want to go through anything else?
He was talking about a native species.
Yeah, Virginia creeper is the right answer. That's a good answer.
And John, at the last meeting, I had a concern with the look of the big wall. And,
Right.
and you mentioned you might put a tree. Is the ivy the answer?
Well, actually, that blank wall has been replaced. So instead of having it extend like a chimney above roof height, we've dropped it all the way down to the first floor, and there's a clear story window above. So there's not that blank wall that was once there, but the chimney wall, we thought it would still be good to have something climb on it. So I think, I could show you that quickly in the drawings if you want. But yeah, we made a modification to just basically eliminate that chimney form, Susan.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. There was a couple of other things. You dealt with the view preservation satisfactory, I guess.
Yeah. The view impacts. This project is a modification of a project that you guys saw before, and the view preservation impacts are similar, if not identical to that.
So I guess you got to go for a couple of variances: front yard setback and height.
Right. The front yard setback is the existing house extends into the front yard, and there's a gable roof now that we're changing to a flat roof, but there is like a small triangle in that would extend into the front yard. Even though the volume of that thing is being reduced, there is a little bit of new volume in the front yard. And that's the
about-
same condition that we had last time we were in front of the ZBA.
What about the fill on tree 51, the 32-inch sugar maple?
Yeah, so that was resolved. Our arborist recommended that we add a retaining wall well to make sure that we limit the fill within 10 feet of that. And he was comfortable that there would be no impacts on the tree if we did that. So that's what's shown in the revised site plan.
And the parking lot of the driveway was reduced a bit.
Right, so it's a hammerhead instead of a parking lot. Yep.
Okay, does anybody on the board want to see any presentations on this? Dan?
I think we covered it in our pre-meeting, our
George?
concerns.
Yeah, but that's not the public meeting. This is,
No, I understand that, yes.
George,
I'm fine, I'm fine.
can I take a look at what was the blank wall? If you can make
Sure,
it
let me,
quickly.
hold on 1 second, let me grab that. Wow, going slow here. Here it is. I'll be faster on the next one. Sorry, guys. There it is.
You took a coffee break and had to be retrained.
So, well, to actually, I shouldn't share this, but I had like a procedure today, colonoscopy thing, so I'm a little fuzzy still.
Oh,
I apologize if I'm slow. I had anesthesia earlier today, so
so more so than usual then, right?
yeah, fuzzier than usual. Let me see if I can find the elevations for you. So the exterior elevation here that I think you had, where is it?
I think it's the south view.
Yeah, so here's the south view.
Oh,
excuse me.
okay.
So that thing extended,
Yeah.
way up,
Yeah.
and it was acting like a chimney, and we brought it down, and now it's just sort of a volume that
Okay.
identifies where the fireplace is, but it's not.
Very good. All right, no further comment from the board. Is there any public, Sarah, that has a chat or a hand?
There's nobody raising their hand and there is nothing in the chat.
All right, could you bring the person who's raising their hand up, please?
Oh, nobody's raising their hand.
Oh, I thought you said there is a person. I'm sorry.
No, I'm sorry.
I think we have a resolution on this, Mary Ann.
Yeah. Whereas in November 2020, ETA Fargo LLC, Sarah Parganos, the managing member, applied for site development plan approval to construct an addition and renovations to its house at 90 Fargo Lane, along with installing a pool, revised driveway, deck, walks, and stormwater mitigation system. And whereas the property is located in the View Preservation District, and the proposed construction requires variances for encroachment in the front yard setback and for the number of stories. Han Engineering reviewed the plans and in a memorandum dated November 2nd listed a number of items, most of which were addressed in a subsequent submission. Suzanne Nolan, the village's landscape consultant, reviewed the plans and made a number of recommendations which were addressed in a subsequent submission. Planning Board held a public hearing on the application on November 4th and December 2nd, 2020. And whereas the Planning Board reviewed the View Preservation Buffer Visual Impact Analysis dated 11/18/20 prepared by Ferguson Malone Architecture and found that the proposed improvements would not impact the view of the Hudson River from neighboring properties. And whereas the actions type 2 under secret, now therefore be it resolved that the Planning Board grants the application for site development plan approval of the improvements reflected in the drawings entitled Parganos Residence. All the sheets prepared by Ferguson Malone and the plans prepared by Hudson Engineering and Consulting, subject to 1, receiving variances from the Zoning Board of Appeals for the incursion into the front yard and for number of stories, and 2, complying with any open items in the Han memorandum dated November 25th, which, as John pointed out, is just the Ivy comment. Well, it's actually the reference to Suzanne.
Okay, do we have a proposal to approve? Dan, anybody?
I propose that we approve it and I designate Sarah okay to sign for me.
Oh, we have to vote on it first.
Oh, I'm sorry, excuse me. A little anxious.
We have a second. A second.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, now, Dan,
How about we try the motion again to approve the motion and I designate Sarah to sign for me.
George,
Approve, and Sarah, please sign for me.
Caesar says yes, approve, and Sarah, please sign. Okay, we're done with that. Going to number 2, 2020-25, 83 Greenway Drive.
Okay, that's me again, Caesar. So John Malone representing the Chevrons, Ferguson Malone Architecture. So the notes that we received on this item were related to adding the Field Point Community Association notes on the Village of Irvington drawings. So we can certainly pick up their requirements that they provided, in terms of not having toilets on site, dumpsters, all of their standard notes. We can add that to the drawing set. And then the other piece was related to the stormwater unit that we've shown in terms of providing calculations to Doug, confirming, and then some notes about protecting that area and pipe sizes, protecting that area during construction and pipe sizes. So, we can pick all this up. If you guys were in a position to approve it contingent on that, that would be great. But I don't know if there's anything else you want to discuss.
They got the coverage. The coverage is covered, the far and the front yard setback. That's all been taken care of, correct?
Yep.
Okay, I think, anybody on the board have a comment on this? Dan,
All set here, Caesar.
George? George?
I'm good.
All right, I'm fine. Anybody from the public with a hand
Caesar,
up or a check?
Kevin's on. Caesar, I don't know if you know, Kevin's on.
Oh, Kevin came on?
I
Yeah,
apologize, Caesar.
he
I
came.
I missed
through
the first
last-
one. I've been here for the second
All
item.
right, so
on the
I'll
agenda.
include you in this roundabout. You have any comments on this closed in?
I do not.
Okay. All right, good. Mary Ann, you have a resolution?
Yeah,
Oh, anybody from the public? I don't know, you missed, I got off track there, Mary Ann. Anybody from the public there? Sarah?
There's nobody raising their hand and there are no comments in the chat.
Okay, thank you. Mary Ann, you have a resolution?
whereas in October 2020, Mark Chevron and Shoutrin Chevron applied for site development plan approval to construct an enclosed porch and patio on their property at 83 Greenway Drive, which is located in the Field Point development. And whereas the proposed improvements require variances for coverage, FAR, and front yard setback, which were granted by the Zoning Board of Appeals on November 24th, 2020. Han Engineering reviewed the plans, and a memoranda dated October 5th and November 30th, 2020 listed a number of engineering issues, some of which remain to be addressed. And whereas the planning board held a public hearing on the application on October 7th and December 2nd, 2020. Whereas the action to type 2 action under SECRA and therefore requires now no environmental review, now therefore be it resolved that the planning board grants the application for site development and plan approval of the improvements reflected in the drawings entitled Chevron, prepared by Ferguson Malone Architecture, subject to compliance with the items listed in the Han memorandum dated November 30th.
We have a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
I second. Okay, let's take a vote. Dan,
I approve the motion and I designate Sarah to sign for me.
Kevin,
I vote in favor of the motion authorizing Sarah.
George,
Approve, and Sarah, please sign for me.
and Caesar approves, and Sarah, please sign for me. Okay, we're done with that. Moving on to number 3, 34 Lewis Road. Okay, John, you can,
Yes, Sarah, you gonna kick me off?
Yes,
Well, you
I'm going to change your role to attendee.
Awesome, thanks.
you got another one coming up.
Yes, but I'll raise my hand and come back.
Thirty-four Lewis.
Good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
Good.
we can even see you.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Yeah, and Laura's on. Should I get started?
That would be good.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's gonna echo no matter what you do. So she's moving to another space so that we're not getting an echo.
All right, while you're doing that, the only thing outstanding were the missing views and the placing of the intended plantings. So why don't you just run through those views?
Sure. Let me share my screen. And here we go. And from the beginning. Can you see it?
Yes, I
Cool.
can see, I can see what you're showing, but it's not the views that
Oh, no,
were.
it's the cover. So I'll skip over a lot of this stuff and get down to those views. Here we are. Okay. So this is what we submitted on the 4th, augmented with what we submitted in December. So November and December are both collated into this one. This shows all the different vantage points where we took views from. And what we did is if we had this without the planting, we did this one and then we added the planting to it. So as we go around, tell me to stop if there's anything, specific that you want to kind of focus in on. Yeah, actually, when we got to here, we didn't add the plantings. These are up behind the wall. And I guess the only one point I want to make, because I've had conversation with Mr. Siegel on this, and I think he's pretty comfortable with where we're at on it. He accomplished.
What was the resolution? Last time it was, it was open-ended. We're going to settle it later. Did anything get resolved so we can have something definitive in our approval?
Yes, what we did was what the board suggested. Instead of having some specific agreement that was between the two neighbors, what we did is we put a note on the drawing that said that the planting that's up on the hillside between the two properties would be, that Mr. Siegel would be invited to come and walk it with us, and he would confirm location, position of the material that's to be planted, so we can make sure that we're putting it exactly where it should be. That's a note that's on the drawing.
Mary Ann, are we okay with that legally?
Yeah, I mean,
Okay,
if this was on the plan.
okay. Go ahead. Oh, go back to that one.
The one before this?
Yes. That was the view, right?
Yeah, this is the view. If I'm standing right kind of along where the wall is.
This would be what Siegel's view would be.
No, this is down. At this point, I'm standing below the retaining wall that stays on the site. The one you're probably wondering about is this one. Over here is that retaining wall. I was kind of standing down here. So this retaining wall is, the eve of the house is almost even with the top of that retaining wall. And this retaining wall is lower than the basement of the existing house on this site. The site goes up to Mr. Siegel's property approximately 15 to 20 feet higher than this. So he's really, we're on his property, not only in his house, on his property, the ridge of this is maybe 15 feet lower than where he's standing.
Okay, by the way, just an aside, you mentioned the existing house. What are the plans for the existing house? It's going to stay there or?
No, I think that would be a problem that Ed would have if we were trying to do that. The whole existing house, we show a demolition plan that shows that being removed, remedial measures with grading to restore the site. So the whole house comes out. We're looking to keep some of the retaining walls that are there that are stabilizing, not only this property, but the neighbor's property. In fact, that was one of the conversations I had with Mr. Siegel. We're showing a retaining wall to be removed, and we've confirmed that he'll also take a look at that because he wants to make sure that taking that retaining wall away from near his property line doesn't cause his property to become unstable. So we'll work that all out with him.
Ed, that's okay? Ed,
Yeah, that's fine.
okay. Go ahead with the pictures, please. Thank you.
Well, I think we've shown all of them at that point.
Hey,
Okay.
Patty, would you go back and, I'm sorry, explain the thing about the plantings?
Sure.
Which part, Mary Ann?
Show them the note on the
Legal
plan.
part?
Right.
When he was talking about the agreement with Siegel.
You're right. That's what I thought. Could
Right.
you go over what you said on the plans?
Yeah, I'm showing the landscaping plan. And in the notes on the landscaping plan, note number 12, final placement of proposed planting material within the driveway and the property to the east will be coordinated with the owner of the neighboring property to provide the specific screening of the proposed house without unnecessarily interrupting or interfering with the views from the neighbor's property and house towards Halsey Pond.
Yeah.
What the issue here is we've seen a lot of people who do things that we don't do, but they'd come in, they'd plant a row of arborvitaes or something near the property line and say, oh, what a great job we did. We screened the house and the neighbor. But that's not really a great thing to do if it's also killing his view of Halsey
Yeah, I mean,
Pond.
it makes sense. It's unusual, but it makes sense to me. Ed, does it make sense to you? Ed's going to be the one who has
Yeah, I think that would be the best way to make sure that the neighbor has an opportunity to have input at the end of the project when they can see where the impacts need to be solved.
Yeah. So, Caesar, you're right. It's unusual, but
I know.
I think in this situation it works, and as long as Ed's okay with it, I'd say that's fine.
Ed,
I think it's a good solution to the problem.
and you withhold final approval unless this has all been worked
Yeah,
out.
I mean, honestly, the plan count has to be right regardless, and I'll have to receive a memo or an email from the owner, the neighbor.
I think the only outstanding thing is the draft of the 25-foot conservation easement, which is parallel to the access path to Halsey.
You know what? Since there wasn't a Schedule A on the draft easement you sent me, Patty, can you show me where it is on this drawing?
Sure. I'll just leave this one up for now. What it does is this dash line that you see underneath there, that's the 40-foot setback to the property line.
Right.
So what we did is we picked up that line as being what would govern. Then when we get down parallel to this line, where technically we could be closer to the property line, which, Ed and I have talked about. We're not sure whether the village has it done, but this is the official survey, and there's a 30-foot right of way that the property line goes down the middle of. This is one side of the right of way. The other side of the right of way is here.
I don't know what you're talking about, Patty.
Can you see the cursor?
Oh, now I see the cursor.
Okay. So here's the property line.
Okay.
And then there's a 30-foot right of way, one side of which is here, the other side of which is here. So instead of quibbling about whether we would measure side yard from this line or that, we measured it from this so that we have a 40-foot setback to this side yard. So what we've done is we've said that that buffer is 40 feet to the property line that's to the south and 40 feet to the property line that's along the west. And we brought that all the way out to the front of the property.
Okay, and where's the pond?
Pond is, maybe I can get you a better shot that shows that in
To
context.
the lower right, Marianne, of that.
Let's see, is this?
It's off to the
No.
lower right.
Well, this is very small to see it, but this up here, where you see the big blue Halsey Pond,
Yeah,
the corner right here is the corner of the Devon property where it says subject property.
right.
So we're sitting back 40 feet to the east from the property line and 40 feet to the north of the property line. And then there's 125 feet from the property line to Halsey Pond.
And, okay, and did you talk with Ed about which area this buffer easement, did I understand you to say you talked to Ed about which area? this
Yeah,
buffer-
Marianne, what we did is, to be on the safe side, we added we called it a front yard setback, basically, from the property line. So that there's no different, there
Okay,
should be.
but you're okay with it, okay, and Patty, I assume you're gonna do get the meets and bounds?
Yes, yeah.
Okay,
We'll definitely have the Schedule A that gets attached to it. And the Devons have already signed that. So I think it's at a point where I get the Schedule A, give it to you to review. And then once you're comfortable with it and the village is comfortable with it, we file it with the county records. I don't know that the village has to sign it.
no, but they think the board has to approve it.
Okay,
I'd like to see
Sometimes
it.
they sign it, sometimes they don't. You know, it's probably not a bad idea to put a signature line for the village, only because sometimes when you go and file at county land records, they're so used to things that have signatures on both sides. It just might make it easier. But before you do it, Patty, there were a couple of little corrections to it, nothing major. There were just really a couple of, well, typos, and there were a couple of things
okay.
that should be fixed that I don't think should affect their signature. So I don't know whether, if you,
If you get me that, I'll just make those corrections.
We have to wait for the Schedule A anyway, and I'd like to review that, Marianne.
pardon?
We have to wait for the Schedule A, and I would like to review that before. it moves
Yeah, I
on.
know, but I understand that, but well, sure, we have to do that, but I need him to fix this. So, Patty, I don't think I have your email address. Let me see. What's your email address?
ARCH
Okay, hold on.
329.
Let me see if it's in my system. Hold on.
While she's looking, you need to go to the trustees for approval.
Right. Well, once we have it all in the form that Marianne's comfortable,
Yeah,
I assume.
it will take you 5 minutes to fix it up. It'll take me longer to write the email than it will for you to fix it. In fact, you know what might be easier? Why don't we have a telephone conversation about
Sure,
it?
that'd be great.
Okay, so I'll call,
Do you have telephone?
Not my email, don't you? Send me your phone number.
Yeah, I have your email. I'll send you, you'll get my email and my phone number.
Okay, and we'll talk tomorrow. It'll take 5 minutes.
Excellent.
Marianne, can we do a resolution subject to the easement getting approved?
Yeah, but the way I worded it, the condition was revising to the satisfaction of the village attorney the proposed conservation buffer agreement, receiving approval for the agreement from the village board of trustees, and filing the agreement with the Westchester County clerk.
All right, let me canvass for comments.
Prior to issuing a building permit, Susan.
Oh, and then I got that. Don't worry. But I was just.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's what I was
Wasn't the
looking-
whole
well,
resolution.
you'll see when I read the resolution. It's all there.
Okay, good.
Any comments, Dan?
I'm good, Caesar.
Kevin?
No, thank you.
George? George?
No, nope.
And Caesar is okay. Do we have a motion? No, we got a resolution first. Go ahead, Mary Ann.
Did you ask Sarah whether there's
Oh,
anybody who wants
Any public comment, Sarah?
There's nobody raising their hand and there are no comments in the chat.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Mary Ann. You have a resolution?
Yeah, whereas in September 2020, Catherine Devens and Robert Porty applied for site development plan approval to demolish an existing house and construct a new single-family house and related improvements on their property at 34 Lewis Road, which borders Halsey Pond and is on the village's open space inventory. And whereas applicants agreed to enter into a conservation easement agreement to maintain a landscape buffer between the applicant's property and Halsey Pond, and whereas James Han Engineering reviewed the plans and in memoranda dated September 1st, October 5th, and November 2nd, listed a number of issues, most of which were addressed in subsequent submissions. Suzanne Nolan, the village's landscape art consultant, reviewed the plans and made a number of recommendations, all of which were followed to her satisfaction. The planning board held a public hearing on the application on September 2nd, October 7th, November 4th, and December 2nd, 2020. It's type 2 action under secret. Now therefore be it resolved that the planning board grants the application for site development plan approval of the improvements reflected in the drawings entitled Proposed Residence Catherine Devens and Robert Porty, prepared by Gotham Design and Community Development. The drawings entitled Proposed Dwelling 34 Lewis Road, prepared by Hudson Engineering and Landscaping, and the landscape plan entitled Devon Porty Residence, prepared by SFAC 220. Subject to 1, complying with the items listed in the Han memorandum dated November 30th, 2020, and 2, revising to the satisfaction of the village attorney the proposed conservation buffer agreement, receiving approval for the agreement from the village board of trustees, and filing the agreement with the Westchester County clerk. Both conditions must be satisfied before a building permit will be issued. Okay, Ed?
Okay, we have a motion for approval. Motion,
Motion.
second, anybody? Second.
Second.
All right, we'll canvass for a vote. Dan,
I approve of the motion and I designate Sarah to sign for me.
Kevin,
I also approve and authorize Sarah to sign on my behalf.
George,
I approve, and please Sarah sign for me.
Caesar, approve, and Sarah, please sign for me. Okay, moving right along.
Thank you very much.
Okay, Patty. Lost my sheet here. Where the hell did it go?
It's Esterbrook, isn't it?
I know, but I want to read the number.
Oh, okay.
Number 5. Nope. Number 4.
20-20.
Number 4 of the evening, 2020-23, 2 South Astor Street.
Hi, John Malone, representing Hudson Gray, Ferguson Malone Architecture. So the last submission that we gave you guys was limited to just a letter. We were looking for the traffic review from the village's consultant, and we've received that. So I think we're gonna, put together responses to the open items. Briefly, does the board have other thoughts about the traffic analysis now that you've had a time from Mazer, now that you've had a moment to see it?
Well, I tend to agree that there shouldn't be any spaces less than 8 feet. I don't know if you looked at it and looked at the spaces he recommended to eliminate. I had another thought that perhaps creating a parking space of whatever the minimal width for a motorcycle could free up some space for car spaces.
Right.
As opposed to eliminating a whole spot. I know sometimes when I'm looking for a parking space, I sort of get aggravated when there's a beautiful parking space with a little bicycle in it. So you may want to set aside a couple of strategic locations for motorcycle or motor scooters, and that would free up space for full cars. And I don't go along with this compact car business. You go down to the train station, as I did today, and the compact cars only section. 4 out of the 6 cars were not compact cars. They were extended cars over the yellow. And so, you know, and there was plenty of other parking because the parking lot is empty. It was just proximity to the steps. And the width of those parking spaces is 8 feet. It's for compact cars. So unless I would not be favorable to anything less than 8 feet.
I mean, I think that was one of the reasons I just wanted to have that conversation briefly, because the end of the Mazer analysis sort of indicated that should the applicant keep the narrow spaces, they'll be doing that at their own peril. And I just wanted to, you know, clarify what your guys thought that peril was, right? Because it's sort of,
Well,
you know,
that aside, I don't agree with anything less than 8 feet. So I would be unfavorable to anything less than 8 feet.
okay.
I don't know what let me canvass the rest of the board. Dan?
Ideally, I probably should be around 8 feet.
Right.
Kevin?
I mean, we have an expert that has provided information that said, you know, justifying it. I think it'd be hard for me to say, you know, just sort of arbitrarily, I disagree with an expert. I'm not an expert on parking. There's reasons for it. So it's hard for me to argue with it, with the reason.
George? Thank you, Kevin. George?
Well, John knows that even 8 feet is a very petite space. And and Kevin, just so my understanding of the letter from Mazer was basically saying that 8 feet should be the minimum, but he was trying to give the caveat to the owner that if they wanted to do this, it's to their own peril. The issue here is we would be approving that, and that's where I think Caesar is trying to say that no, you know, it does not make sense for the planning board to say, you know, guys, do what you want with this. So no, I think as the smile comes through with John, that 8 feet is even that is tight. So I think Caesar's ideas of you know, trying to do it with motorcycles or whatever seems fair. But John, I've got more question about what is this parking for?
It's intended to serve the office space on the adjacent side. So it's intended to serve the Trent building.
Okay, and why isn't the entire building being used for that?
There wouldn't be any access to the upper floor for that, right?
And what is the upper floor?
The upper floor is an existing event space, the Hudson Loft event space.
Oh, that's the space where they were going to.
Yeah, where they
all the
wanted to
windows
put
and-
the open deck, yeah.
Yeah, and where is that stand? So that is now, and where was the parking for that?
That's not part of this application. I think that the change of use for that has already happened. So we're not proposing any change of use associated with that building at this time.
So the parking that you're doing here is not going to be for the upper floor?
No. It's designed to support, you know, the Trent building is a very large office space without, you know, a dedicated lot. So, I mean, the benefit to the village of this is, right, any of the pressure that's on the parking on Buckout, on the street on Buckout, you know, that would be reduced because you'd be taking those, you know, the people that are in the offices, you'd be putting them in this lot instead of having them.
Yeah, that's an argument that's been used before, and it has been, at least by some, been refuted because, but anyway, so you're saying that this parking is specifically for the Trent building, not for the upper floor, and there is no real parking for this event space?
No, there's nothing being proposed in this, and that change of use has already happened. So
how does that parking, if I go to an event, where do I park?
I think people use the public lot. It's usually an evening event, so I think people use the Metro North lot generally. I think that's how it's run. You know.
Okay. That's an answer.
Okay, George? What about the second floor parking? That, Ed, do you have engineering on that? Is that still going forward, or that's not part of this application?
Right now, it's not parking, it's a warehouse space. We asked John last month for details on that as well.
Yeah, so
that's-
that's, Caesar, that's going to be a composite slab, which is a, concrete on a metal deck.
I know what it is.
Yeah, the frame is designed, has enough capacity to support it. So that it's not going to be wood.
Ed, that would not be part of the planning board jurisdiction, right? It's just
No.
strictly building.
No, that's this because of the access to it, right? So part of what we're trying to get approved today is the easement request that's in this package is to provide access from the one property to the other property so that, they can access that as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Are these assigned parking spots for the Trent Building?
Yeah, so they'd be numbered, assigned, like when you rent a space in the Trent Building, part of your deal would be X, these spots. I mean, that was some of the argument for the smaller spots was that, if someone's willing to rent a 7-6 spot, then that's what they get. So,
John, the spaces at our complex here are, I went out and measured them. They were 8 feet and they were a little tight. And actually the spaces at the train station, those compact car spaces and all the spaces, they're all 8 feet. I just, and it's kind of difficult for me to get out of my car at 8 feet when all the cars are present. So I just don't see it. And you'll have to do something about those, I don't know, half a dozen or so less than 8 feet spaces and reconfigure, do what the consultant recommended or strategically place some motorcycle spots that are 4 feet and pick up 4 feet to spread around.
We don't really go to the mall anymore because of the pandemic, but there was one time at the mall in White Plains that we actually did get out through the hatchback.
Jeez.
Yeah.
That's you have to crawl over the seat though.
Yeah, I crawled down the seat and got out through the hatchback.
Okay, any other comment on the parking, the number of turns and so forth? I think the main concern is getting out of the car. And that's about it as far as I can tell. But you'll have to fix that. And I'm not sure the drainage has been settled. Doug, are we happy with the drainage?
Yeah, for the most part. We still are looking for some details and some other things, but
Are we taking
conceptually,
into account that the groundwater, since proximity to the Hudson River, the groundwater is probably 2 feet down or so?
I don't know if it's two, but they still have to check on some things over there.
We
And the
did.
soil, I mean, there was a bunch of stuff they still need to iron out.
Yeah, Caesar, we did do test pits and determine the level of the groundwater. The stuff that's left to iron out is our structural drawings and our civil drawings weren't coordinated between the walls. So we're gonna make sure that that's clear what's happening there, that the walls are weeping into the other side. That wasn't clear.
And given the history of Phil, did you do some soil testing on the soil to be excavated?
I think right now we have general notes about the soil testing that needs to happen there. We haven't done the testing yet, but I if anything's exported, right, it would have to be tested to see before, or we could dump it in the river, one or the other. But I think we'll test it instead. Yeah.
Well,
It's a funny site to, maybe it's totally clean. It could be totally clean, but
willful. I remind you, willful violation of the environmental conservation law is a felony.
right.
Any other comment on anything else from the board? You're going to have to carry this over, John, because you got to settle these spaces.
Yeah, we're expecting that if the layout changed, that we need to make sure the layout still works. So
I mean, I think you have 4 opinions adverse to this less than 8 feet. So
okay, we'll see what we can do.
it's a no-win situation. Any other comments on any other aspect of this from the board?
I have one. John, just that you've got to get an agreement back to me. As you know, the license agreement didn't work, so that's still.
Oh, I'm sorry,
So
Mary.
Bill just sent me the draft of the easement agreement. So we just need to attach exhibits to it. We'll get it over to you to review. As soon as
Oh,
possible.
okay. Okay, good.
I was hoping to get your eyes on it before we submit it. Just to
Yeah, no, that'd be a good idea.
Okay.
Okay, hey, Sarah, anything from the public on this? Any hand raised chats?
There's nobody raising their hand and there's no comments in the chat.
Okay, if John, if you have any other questions, or if anybody has any questions, I guess we're done with this.
Yeah, we're good. Thank you, guys.
Come back next year.
Okay, let's see you then.
Number 4. Moving on to number 5, 63 Field Terrace.
Mute. Sorry. I seem to have gotten disconnected there. Sorry about that.
Oh, there you are.
Douglas McClure, architect for the Trenchers at 63 Field Terrace. As you know from a while back, we
Before you start, Doug, I have to say this because it's bothering me. One of your pictures, and in fact, as of yesterday, you have a silt fence that's buried by an unprotected soil pile.
Yes, I had a long conversation with the
Does anybody
contractor
think
about that
Good
today.
idea to submit that to the planning board?
No, it was not. Sorry about that. That has been addressed though, and it's no longer the case.
As
That's
of
been addressed,
yesterday,
Caesar.
as of yesterday, it was still that way.
I'm sending you a picture now, Caesar.
Okay. I'm sorry I'm sorry to cut you off, but that was bothering me.
No, I totally understand. It was I spoke to the contractor about that today.
Go ahead.
So as you know, we went for approval and got a permit for an addition to the this house for a kitchen and a back terrace and a small patio. And during construction, the client came to the conclusion that they wanted to do a little bit more landscaping in their backyard and possibly add a pool. And that is what this submission is about. And because I'm not the landscape architect, I'm going to turn the rest of the presentation over to Renee Byers, who is the landscape architect for the project.
Good evening. Everybody, can you hear
You're
me?
there.
Okay, just want to make sure I'm here. Thanks, Doug. So yeah, I'm Renee Byers, landscape architect for the Trencher family, 63 Field Terrace, Irvington. And I thought that I would do a couple of things. This is my order of my little presentation. We have received comments from Han Engineering, which of course I want to address. One of the main ones before I go into the design intent of the project is we realize that for me, I've done a couple of Irvington projects, but it's been a while, and the corner lot configuration threw us a little bit. We're now clear on all the setbacks and understand what we need to do. So I will address that. I will talk about that. I just didn't want to have any concerns about that. So I'd like to, if it's okay with you, I'm going to put on the screen sharing and walk you through briefly about what we'd like to do. So hang on here.
Did you pay particular attention to Susan Nolan's comment in terms
Yes,
of?
I did. Yes, and I'm going to
landscaping?
also definitely going to speak to you about that. Here we go. Okay, so starting off, I'm putting up first off on the screen Doug's prior site plan, just so you can understand where we have augmented what he did already. Let me just do a little white pointer.
And
Spotlight there.
before you move,
Yes.
there was a
Sure.
major question, not a major question, but there was a question, and this picture shows it. There was a 60-inch beech tree
A high, yes,
up.
right, this.
Where'd it go?
It's been gone for any number of years. I've never seen it, and this
More-
is a
more over
discrepancy
to
of
the
an,
left.
it's right here where this is the same map twice. It's right here. That's where it was. That's where it
Okay.
was shown on the survey. But I can assure you there's no tree there. And Doug reported that,
Well, I know there's no tree. We're just wondering if it was removed with approval or just somebody decided to remove it.
maybe Doug has some info on that, but we would have to do a search going back. I don't know what the permitting was on that.
I can't
Douglas?
speak to that. I can't speak to that, Caesar. I know when the survey was originally done, for a previous client of mine, that tree was there. I believe the tree was properly removed, but I'm going to have to go back and find out if from the tree
Come
committee,
back,
if
let
there's
us
a
know.
tree removed.
Sorry to-
Yes,
Sorry
that's
to
not a
interrupt
problem,
you.
but
Renee.
that tree has not been there since the beginning of this project. So
We found no records in the tree committee.
Oh, okay. Go ahead, Renee. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but
No
while that-
worries. And
while
we
that
can
picture
check
was
with,
up,
we can check with the trenchers and find out what the history was of that, but.
were they the owners at the time?
they were not the owners at the time of this, the time the original survey was done.
Yeah,
I
was
may actually be able to get in touch with the original owners of the house.
The sheet that I have that shows the tree is dated 2016, 2014.
2014, correct.
Okay, go ahead, Renee.
Okay, very good. So just to refresh you on the old approved plan, on the right side of the sheet over here, this is the shaded area is what is under construction right now, which is an enlarged kitchen, a covered outdoor open porch leading down to a patio with an outdoor kitchen area. And then there is an access way from the driveway to the mudroom. And Douglas had also designed a pullover off of the shared driveway that would be a place where people could get dropped off. And he showed a new walkway across the end of that pullover and then the path leading to the old, to the existing stoop. So that's where we are now, and all of this work is well underway. And there was a whole drainage plan from Hudson Engineering, which accompanied this, of course. All right, let me go to my next sheet. So this is a rendering of our proposed plan. We have details and dimensions on some of the other pages, but this is a good one to look at. As Doug mentioned, as the trenchers got into the construction process, they wanted to delve into the landscaping a little bit more further. And they realized that family with young adolescents, they really wanted a pool as well as a little bit larger outdoor seating area, perhaps with a fire pit. And in general, wanting to make the property a real, sort of getaway at home, a family retreat that they could enjoy. They asked us to take a look at where we could put a swimming pool. And one of the things that we wanted to maintain from their directive is this beautiful big open lawn. Oops, I didn't mean to draw. I wanted to point to it. Hold on. This is my first time on a Zoom presentation, so I'm going to do my best, but I'm learning here. Okay, spotlight. There we go. So this whole beautiful open lawn, everybody wanted to preserve. The kids loved running around. It's unusually large and beautiful and gives a beautiful sense of an open park-like space. We also wanted to make sure that they weren't looking out at a pool all winter. So favoring this end of the lot allows us to not have any of the main views of the house looking out. This is the garage down at this end. Mrs. Trencher also wanted a kitchen garden and where she could try some herbs and vegetables. So we located that here, which is just off the mudroom space. They're big swimmers and they desired a separate spa. So we put that over to the side. There is an existing right-of-way, 20 feet wide. So that's right over here that runs all along this east side of the property, which has to be maintained, we understand, without obstruction, without additional plantings or pavings. So that happens to coincide with one of the pool setback lines. Of course, now we realize that there is another setback line due to the corner lot configuration, basically coming off of the garage like so. So we have this much of our pool, which would be outside of the majority of the swimming pool, which would be outside that line. The spa happens to be within it. And then
I'm going to interrupt you for a second,
Yep.
Renee, for the benefit of the rest of the board.
go ahead.
According to code, technically, the front of the house is not the actual front. It's the side of the
That's-
house that faces Field Terrace.
Right.
So
Two
the front of the
front
hou-
yards, this
The
yard.
code
and the
front
other.
of the house is Field Terrace. And by code, the pool cannot be in front of the back of the house, which she just explained. If you follow
Right.
the right-hand
you-
side of the line, imaginary line upwards, the pool is clearly in front of the back of the house, the technical back of the house.
Yes, if you like, we have
So
since.
that requires a variance. If you remember.
Right,
the-
and
the
we're aware,
site,
and we are
code.
we are now aware of that. I did not realize that when we submitted our package.
Well, it
We
needs a
ju-
variance, so
We know that. We know that.
I just
We're aware
wanted
of
to
that.
explain to the board
Yes, okay, thank you.
and to the public.
Right, which is also contained in our comments. And,
Okay.
and we're aware of a coverage overage as well as the zoning variance. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you either. I just wanted to get that
Okay.
thought in.
Can I chime in for a second?
Please.
Apparently our client is watching this as well. She just let me know that when they purchased the house, the tree was not there. So I just wanted to declare the beech tree was removed prior to their purchase.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
You don't
Okay,
mis-
Renee, all you.
It's hard to misplace a 60-inch beech tree.
It is.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead, Renee.
All right. So before I delve into the coverage and the zoning data, I just want to speak a little bit about the design of the pool and the way it nestles into the site. And then we can go over to the meat of the things that I think you want to talk about, which is the setbacks. The only other thing I wanted to say about our general design is that there is a very gentle slope running up this, well, across the whole back of the property. It increases slightly more here. So what we noticed when we first visited the site is that there is a remnant of a larger estate garden wall here, which is a beautiful brick and stone wall with very nice patterning, quite good condition. So we wanted to feature that and have a way to sort of amplify that a little bit more than it is now. Right now, it's kind of covered in a lot of sort of overgrowth, and this is a bit of a forgotten back corner. So we come down with just a low wall in front of it, staying away from this wall more than 6 feet to create sort of a slightly more level area that the pool can sit. And this low retaining wall continues around. It's only about 3 feet or so. And that also provides a nice sort of planter base for large and beautiful evergreen screening trees. So we'll be very nicely screened from all around. And our proposed pool equipment is likewise well screened with a brick wall that'll pick up some of the detailing of the house. And that,
While you're on that screening, the wall you pointed out to make
Yes.
create a level area for the pool. The construction of that wall, arborist, landscape architect said that construction may go into the roots of those trees, some existing trees. So you need to have an arborist take a look at that and see if there's any mitigation for existing trees and how close to the roots. Okay.
Yes, I'm aware of that. And also we have, there are no existing trees of note. There are a couple that we are removing along here, but I will definitely want to, happy to walk the site with your landscape architect, and
Yeah.
also to point out sort of there's more than the beach discrepancy. Actually, now that you pointed that one out, there's another location where I believe they've added a tree that there isn't one, but I can get into all those specifics with
Right,
her.
because one of
in
our
another-
comments was there's some inconsistencies of what's there.
Exactly.
So, but you can straighten that out with Suzanne.
Yeah, she's absolutely correct, that there are discrepancies. And as far as other root encroachment there into trees that we have a beautiful big oak over here, the majority of which will not have its roots disturbed, but there is a little bit of an area that will. And I have an
Yeah.
excellent consulting arborist who will help me with that and who can provide a report. He's already made some suggestions to how we can handle
Is that the
So-
32-inch oak? 'Cause Suzanne was concerned about that.
Correct. That is the one over here. Yes, that's the nice big oak. So what I wanted to talk about was the nature of the paving and how, despite the fact that we are over on coverage, we've tried very hard to mitigate the amount of coverage and the amount of impervious area by using a bluestone pathway with grass joints so that there's plenty of drainage in between. And we only really have a hard surface patio right out here outside of the main living area, where the existing the under construction covered porch is. And we provided a small, very modest seating area back here that also is bluestone with grass joints. And then the perimeter of the pool all around is all lawn. So the idea is that this is simply, a beautiful green space with a flat structure that reflects the sky. So while it is additional coverage, we're seeing this, we're thinking of this along the lines that coverage is not coverage. It's not as though we're asking to build another building on the site or anything that's obtrusive or can be seen. This is very much in keeping with nature and the park-like setting that we have here. I'll move now to, I guess I would just like to talk about some of the engineering comments. I'm sorry, I left out one thing. We still maintain Douglas's pass through here. And it's the same size. We simply softened the curve a little bit and decided that we didn't need the extra walkway on the outside. So we eliminated that little bit of coverage and just smoothed out our curve here. But the depth dimension is identical, and this is the same virtual concept and size. I can move to some of the comments now. I was just going to talk in a general way. There are a number of engineering points, and
Before you move on to that,
yes,
I have a question about the pool equipment, which will require a side yard setback variance.
Rear
Yes.
yard. Rear yard.
I'm not sure, Ed, how pool
The
equipment?
rear yard, Caesar.
Huh?
It's gonna be the rear yard setback.
Yeah, I'm sorry, rear yard.
And the generator as well.
And it's, it's so close to the property line, the noise. I'm
No,
not sure.
you gotta remember the driveway is part of their property.
this is, yeah.
Okay.
Renee,
And-
why don't you
and-
just do
Oh,
Where-
may I-
Where's the construction access? How are you gonna
um,
get back there?
Right here, right now, where it exists right now, which is right here,
Okay.
right off the driveway. That's where the contractor has it now. We'll use the same access road.
Any existing trees that need to be protected from heavy equipment?
Only the trees that we talked about, and those are all the trees that need protection are shown on the Hudson plan.
Okay.
I can move to that if you like.
No, just settle it with Suzanne.
Okay,
Renee, I would like if you could just describe the variances that you're interested in.
absolutely. Okay, so if I may, I'm going to switch screens to we made an updated setback plan just today, and I'm going to put that up. This hasn't been submitted yet to the building department, but it addresses some of the setback concerns, and so it's more accurate than the one that you have in your packet. So hang on a second. Gotta go back out. Okay. So hopefully this should be a little more clear. First, talking about setbacks. We have, in effect, 2 front yards. So we have the 50-foot setback here. Oops, I get it again. Just want my light. 50-foot setback here and here, running around here. Then we have this rear, the 40-foot rear yard setback is here, running through this way, and then a 25-foot side yard setback across the back. Then we have the projection of the rear of the house, creating another setback line here. So the as of right location for a swimming pool on this property, as we understand it, would be between this line, which is the 20-foot setback, and this angled line, which represents the rear of the house. So we're talking about this sort of zone right here. So we would need a variance to cover this portion of the pool, to allow the pool equipment here. We have a brick screen wall going around this pool equipment, along with some acoustic panels that can go inside to keep the sound very low. So I think, and we will need a variance for that. We have to go over, this is all new, and I guess the trenches are online listening to this. We thought it was efficient to keep the generator over here, but if that's a problem and it's, we're seeming to ask for too many variances, we did do an alternate location today where we could look at putting the generator here within all the setbacks and screening it with heavy evergreen screening. We give up a little lawn, but at least it's one less variance that we're asking for down here, and it might allow us to reduce the size of this a little bit. But we'll look into that after we talk to our clients about that change, because this would be new to them. Then we are, so those are the setback variances. The
What
rest.
about, doesn't the spa need a rear yard setback?
No, there's a section of the code, Caesar, that allows pools to be 20 feet from the property lines, side and rear.
Hey, Ed?
Yeah.
Was that in a meeting with you that just determined that there's 2 front yards?
No, I was going to take care of it tomorrow.
But there's not 2 front yards,
No,
right?
no, there's just 1 front yard, 2 side
One
yards.
front yard, yeah.
But it's not, it doesn't affect what she's
It's
talking about.
not gonna change anything? Okay, I was just a little thrown.
No,
Okay.
yeah, no, I heard that. I figured we'd just take care of it tomorrow. It's not relevant to.
Renee, why is the rear yard on an angle too, that setback?
It's not a rear yard. That's a
That's not.
parallel line of Field Terrace from the rear of the building. That dark line.
This.
Yeah.
Parallel line here.
So anything forward to the street from there needs a variance. So 1/8 of the pool is fine.
Okay.
To answer George's question, I don't think it was clearly answered as to the number of variances. There's the pool, there's the pool equipment, and what else? Coverage?
Coverage.
Coverage, and if the walls are over 6'6", it's a problem. I don't think they are though.
No wall is over 6'6".
No.
So it's coverage, the pool, and the pool equipment.
Can you
Correct.
clarify?
Pool equipment. She had found a place to move it that wouldn't.
No, that was the generator.
Oh, the generator, only that, okay.
We prefer functionally to keep the pool equipment where it is. It's a little bit closer to everything, and it's also an area that we can screen and soundproof very well, and it works very well here as a backdrop to the garden, and there are a number of good reasons that we'd like to leave it there.
Ed or Marianne, can you clarify for me just how coverage is affected by a pool? Pool is just considered part of the coverage?
Yes.
Thank you.
Now, the generator is going to be fueled by propane, gas, gasoline, natural
By-
gas.
Propane,
You're going to have a buried propane tank, I guess?
yes.
You know you need a permit, right, Ed?
I know.
Okay.
Yep.
Go ahead, George, does that
continue?
answer your question?
Oh,
Yeah, no,
okay,
my
very,
only concern is this, is that I think that the zoning board will deal very favorably with the pool location based on, in my opinion. I think the only concern I would have is really for the neighbor having the pool equipment in that area, should they complain about it. So it's hard to tell what the neighbor's property is like, nor if the neighbor has seen this and is okay with it. So those are and I don't know what the percentage of coverage is over in terms of this as opposed to others. That's all.
I could go into that when you're ready.
I thought I heard 18% over, George.
18% over what's allowed, yeah.
Shall I continue or do you want?
Go ahead.
Please.
Okay. I think we should talk about two things. I would like to talk about the coverage, but I was also going to show you, if you like, regarding the neighbor, we have this plan does not, this aerial sort of shows it. Here we go. So if you can, hold on, spotlight. You can see, so here's the Trencher home, right? Here's the proposed, roughly the proposed location of the swimming pool, and the equipment would be right here. So the driveway, the shared driveway comes along here, and here is the neighboring house. They have no, this is our pool equipment here, 20 feet back from the line, again, shrouded by the sound wall, which is incredibly effective. And this is the side of their house. So the focus of their outdoor space in their rear yard is back here, clear on the other side. And this is quite a large property that also happens to be one of our, one example of a house that's significantly over coverage compared to what we're asking for. But in any event, I don't think that there's going to be any detrimental effect to the pool equipment in that location, especially the way we're treating it. So then I'll just kind of move on to this coverage topic. The revised sheet that we'll send in, the coverage calculations are still correct from what we had before, but we ran through some of the numbers, and we have on this side of the sheet, hold on, a tabulation of each of our individual areas. So when we analyze where is our coverage overage, the pool itself is over 1,000 square feet, and we're over coverage 900 and some. So that's the majority of the situation is that's what puts us over. It's not that we have a few modest sized patios and, you know, some garden walls. So it's really the fact of the pool itself. We did a comparison, hold on, of neighboring properties, all listed here. 63 is in the yellow highlight here. We are asking to go, we are allowed 10.3%, and we're going up to 12.1% of the lot in terms of coverage. And we highlighted, of all the neighboring properties, all the other properties that are also over and what percentage of lot coverage they are. And you can see here that we go from, oh, we forgot to highlight one, 15%, 18%. So there's a number of sites that are quite a bit over what they're allowed. So for that reason, we felt that we were well within area context in terms of the coverage. So that, all that information will be, put in cogent fashion and presented to the zoning board.
So the only thing for me is this, is that, it's back to the pool house, is that showing an option like that you wouldn't need a variance for this is you really haven't proved that that's a detriment to this property. And so it becomes one of those, why are you asking for it, as opposed to there are other locations that one could do it. And I guess that's sort of the argument I would have with this. I do get that, especially the neighbor has the opportunity to review these things, and the lots are very large and stuff like that. It just seems to me that homework should be done to show, like you've done already with your generator, and what the impacts of that would be, just so that it has been studied.
I'm sorry, could you back up? Did you say pool house?
The equipment.
Equipment, sorry. I
Oh,
said
well, okay,
equipment.
okay.
I probably did say pool house, I apologize, but
Oh, no.
yeah, because you've already kind of noticed, you've already kind of announced that the generator could be moved that was in this pool house. And that wouldn't be needing a variance. So could the pool equipment as well be moved in some location where you wouldn't need a variance?
I think that that's something that you're right, that we should investigate before presenting our case to the zoning board. I have a feeling that the technical considerations of the pool company and their in-house engineer might provide some more clarity on that will, help bolster our case, if you will.
Well, how much service does the pool equipment need? Does it need to be on the driveway?
Well, that's what's so convenient about it, is that it does take weekly servicing, and it is literally right there at the driveway. No one has to traipse through the back of the property.
Well, that would be something to look at to
Exactly. Well,
to address the concerns articulated by George.
Yes, that's what I was referring to when I said that the pool company and their engineer will have comments for that, and I will be sure to put that together in our package for them, what our reasoning is.
And the downside of other locations that
Correct.
would not require a variance. If
That's
there is a
right.
downside.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's a very good point.
Are you?
I think I have largely presented what I'd like to say. I could talk more about it, but I think it would be better if you have questions for me. Perhaps that would take less time if there are things that are pressing that you'd like me to talk
Doug,
about.
before we go around, do you have anything to add to Renee's present? By the way, you did a very good electronic presentation for your first time. We'll give you an A.
My staff rehearsed me. They'll be happy. I'm sure they're listening, and they're going to be very proud that I was able to master this.
It wasn't an A+, but it was an A.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
I don't have anything to add. Renee and I have worked pretty closely on this, although we did have a big snafu with the rear yard setback, but just working through the coverage, trying to reduce the coverage and deal with some of these issues. It's been kind of rewarding working with her on this, because personally, I think the plan is beautiful and much stronger than what I had originally proposed. So I think most of these issues that were brought up in Han's memorandum and Susan's memorandum seem to be very easy to address. And I think we can look at some of these other issues and address them as well.
Any comments from the board? Dan?
I have none, Caesar. George mentioned the topic that I was interested in with the pool equipment location.
Kevin?
No, thank you.
George, anything further?
Nope, I'm done.
I'm done. Sarah, you have anything out in the public there? A hand raised or a chat?
There's no one raising their hand, but in the chat, we have a comment from Ken Nelson. And his comment is his question, where is the dirt from the pool going?
Doug, where is what is it? It's cut and fill, isn't it? Where are you taking the soil?
I have not spoken to Renee about that. Do we have an idea about that yet, Renee?
We have not calculated. I know that the location of the pool and the way we have cited it, we have not done a specific calculation, but looks to be quite balanced.
Yeah, cut and fill.
Yes, the cut and fill appear to be balanced. The excavation from the pool itself, I would need to get back to you on that to tell you that number. If in fact it needs to be removed, or if the soil could be taken care of on site.
Okay, if you address that the next go around, we'll be happy to hear it.
Definitely.
Sarah, anything else out there? Hello, Sarah.
Sorry, no, that was it.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Nelson. I think we're done. You come back next time with the answers and we'll be happy to take a look at it.
One thing I wanted to ask about is it possible to refer us to save some time to come back after we've made a visit to the zoning board?
There's just too many things outstanding here.
I see.
And actually what's happened to the last two, well, not the last two, but recently applicants went to the zoning board before the planning board was done with their review, and the zoning board wasn't comfortable giving variances until they heard from the zoning board. So you probably wouldn't save any time anyway.
There's no December zoning board meeting. You're not missing
okay.
anything.
Okay.
Okay, so you're really,
That makes it easier.
I'll carry it for you.
Makes it a lot easier.
How did they get away with that? I would also suggest that you put in the height of your walls in your next submission. And if you are doing more than a cut and fill, that you describe what the section is of where you're filling or where you're cutting.
Yeah, you brought up something I forgot. I had a question. On the downhill side of the pool, because it's cut and fill, are you going to require a retaining wall on the downhill side of the pool?
No, we are not. We have a very gentle we have 3 steps located in the lawn. Hold on. We made this into sort of a design feature. There are 3 very thin bluestone steps, each of a 6-inch riser, and you can see the 2 contour lines running down. So there's a very gentle roll of the lawn down at this point. This sort of gently separates the pool area from the rest of the lawn without cutting it off. So you'll still have the impression when you're down here of a very long green space, and it's not till you get right up here that you see that there's actually a swimming pool in there. But so no more hardscape here. We want this all very natural.
Okay, I see you got the difference between a cursor and drawing a line down pretty good.
I think I got it.
Anything else, Sarah? Anything more? Any follow-up questions on that chat?
No, there are no more questions.
Anything from the board? Dan, Kevin, George?
We're good.
No. Okay, we're done. We'll see you next time, and practice up on your skills, and you'll get an A+ next time.
Thank you very much. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Good night. Thank you.
All right, Doug. I'm moving to number 6 on the hit parade, 2020-29, 47 Osceola Avenue.
If you're here representing the application, if you can please click the raise hand button.
Hello. Good evening. I'm Jim Coleman, and the owner, Gemma Hart, should be here as well. Yes. Hi, Gemma. So if I can share the screen, it's a very simple and direct project. We received comments from Hun Engineers, which we'll address affirmatively, and I'll touch on briefly this evening. And we're hoping to get a referral to the ARB and ultimately for permit. I'll share my screen. So did that work? This here is the existing house, and is that an existing aerial photograph? What we're proposing is just filling in this section. It's 74 square feet of additional floor area. On the first floor, it'll be aligned with the front of the garage. No change to the eaves or roof. No increase in lot coverage. Existing drainage is to be maintained. There's no trees. No change to utilities. This is the new wall that will line up with the garage. This is the existing site. It is a non-conforming site. The existing house shown shaded here is just over 30 feet from the property line. The area that we're infilling, the 74 square feet, is 53 feet from the property line. So the house does not meet the front yard setback requirement, but what we're proposing, which again is no increase in coverage, does meet the setback requirement. The increase in square footage were more than 50% under allowed FAR and more than 30% under allowed coverage. Here's just a detail of that. This is the 53 feet. The owners actually have two lots here. This is one lot, and then this lot also is part of their property. And then I have, this will be part of the follow-up submission, the detailed demo and new construction plans, lighting plans, elevations. This is the area where we're infilling under the existing roof line. A new window here. We're proposing new doors at the back of the property. And then details, general notes, which were all requested by Hun Engineering, rightfully so. So that briefly is the project. Happy to take any questions.
Ed, I can see that there's no, it doesn't appear to be any coverage, but what about the FAR?
It's an increase of 73 square feet of FAR, which is less than 47% of what's allowed, 48%.
Correct.
And there's no change in coverage.
No change in coverage.
Right.
Doug, there's quite a few engineering issues. Am I wrong? Am I right?
You know what? They're more standards, just site plan, things that you have on the site plan. It's not anything concerning. There really wasn't anything concerning on here.
But it needs to be straightened out before we can go to a resolution. All right, it'll have to come back because of those issues.
Okay, I mean, I'm happy. We were hoping to maybe get, I mean, there are no issues really. That the impact is so minimal. There's no trees, there's no drainage, but happy to proceed as you recommend.
Well, I think the site work, the site plan and the engineering needs to, you know, if it was a minor engineering thing, we could say subject to engineering, but from what I understand, there's some things that need to get straightened out. Doug, you work with them?
I'm sorry, I lost you for a second there, Caesar.
Hey, Jim.
Yes.
Cool.
Sorry, I lost you for a
You
second.
know, well, you lost me because Doug, they need to work with you to iron out whatever the engineering is, and Ed, offline, no sense going over it all here.
Yeah, if there's anything you want to go over, Jim, you can just give me a call tomorrow or whenever.
Okay. I mean, I think most things we're just going to, you know, say are not an issue. Drainage, lighting, you know, there's only residential lighting there's no increase in coverage, there's no,
Yeah, I don't think there's anything that's that concerning. It's more of just what's required for, site plan application.
okay.
Hey,
You
Jim,
mentioned lighting. Is there any light, we have dark sky compliance.
Well, we're not, this lamp is staying and this lamp is staying, so we're not,
No outdoor, there's no new outdoor lighting.
well, we
Right.
were talking about adding, a residential lamp here and here. But I'll go over that with the owners and discuss that with Doug as well.
Because we have a new ordinance of dark sky compliance.
I understand.
But if there's
Jim?
nothing, if there's nothing big, Doug, on this, can't we just swiftly move this? I mean, that's just, if there was
Yeah.
something big, I can understand what Caesar's talking about, but it sounds like, correct me if I'm wrong, that there really is just boilerplate stuff. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, I don't see anything too major, but I mean, I don't know, is it a,
so
I mean,
let me speak for a second. The ARBs in their charter, you can't go till you have all your approvals. So that's strike one. But if you give me a call in the morning, Jim, and we'll go over what you need for the ARB so you're ready for the next meeting. The next
Okay.
one. All right. There's stuff that you still need to, like elevation drawings, things like that. Yeah. Yeah. So we'll get those spruced up for you. We'll discuss the lighting, and we'll get you on the next agenda.
okay, great.
All right.
And
Any other, go ahead, Jim.
we need to come back to planning then, or just work with Ed?
No, you have to come back. You have to come back with a new submission with all of Doug's comments resolved. That's why we asked you to work with Doug on that.
Okay.
Dan, any comment?
No, Caesar, none.
Kevin,
No, thank you.
George?
No.
I'm okay. Sarah, any public?
There's nobody raising their hand and there are no comments in the chat.
Okay, I think we're done. We'll see you next time and next year.
And I'll talk to you tomorrow, Ed. Thank you.
That concludes the agenda for December 2nd. Thank you, everybody, for attending, and thank you, Sarah, for taking care of the logistics. And like I said before, we'll be back next year, 2021. Enjoy a safe holiday and a safe new year.
To Caesar.
thank
Thank you
you.
very much, Caesar.
Bye, everyone. See you next year.
Bye.
Thanks,
Happy
guys.
New Year.
Thank you.
Thank you.